Hello and welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. I'm here as always with my good friend Dan Wiseman. Dan, Aston Villa 0, Manchester United 0. That's 90 minutes of our life that we may not ever get back. How you doing, mate?
I'm very well. Thank you, mate. Yes, I think we the footballing gods were willing to give us one result this week. And I think it's the result that we would have picked had we had the choice to choose between a win in the Champions League against Bayern Munich and a win this weekend against Man United. We got the result that we wanted, but boy, oh boy, did we feel some almighty hangover from it today.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, absolutely. It was I think the thing is, if you'd have if we'd have got a draw on Wednesday and then won here, I think I'm not saying we'd be sat here, in a sort of somber tone as we are right now, but Wednesday winning that game, it's almost like that, it's peaked being a Villa fan now. Like that seems like it's as good as it's going to get. And I know that sounds crazy to say because there is genuinely so much more to come. But, as we've sort of gone on about, so giddily over the past couple of podcasts, the journey to that point is why Wednesday night was so special for so many of us. And, with incredible highs, there come incredible lows. And this certainly isn't an incredible low by any stretch of the imagination. Do not get it twisted. But it's tough. It's incredibly tough, especially after, such enjoyable highs on Wednesday. But I guess in many ways, mate, it was to be expected.
Yeah, I think this game I did have a little bit of fear for. I won't lie. We have a terrible record against Man United. It's well documented. I won't go into it now. Even last season, our best season in God knows how many years, they still managed to do the double over us, home and away. It's a team that I kind of felt that the kind of engaging with reality again after Wednesday would be difficult. And I do think to a certain extent it was, but not necessarily for the reasons that I was perhaps expecting. I think, we have seen that, in the past when sides get a kind of massive result like that actually, going and getting yourself going for a regular game on Sunday. And I think we were benefited by the fact that United at home, it's a big game for anybody in this league. I'm not going to suggest otherwise, no matter the side that they are. But I was actually, the narrative around the game was so interesting because it felt like everybody was expecting Villa to thrash them, basically. Like I was listening to Talk Sport on the way down and it was just, well, it looks like, this could be like Ten Hag's last game for the club, if Villa managed to put 3 or 4 past United or this kind of stuff. We were by far and away the bookmakers' favourites. And all rightly so. I'm not saying that, Villa should have gone into this game as an underdog, but it's a narrative around the United fixture that we've not really had. And I just worried that, with such a Goliath task that we managed to overcome midweek, that if any kind of complacency bled into this game, we've seen, however many times in the past, how United can exploit you, that they'll find a way to get it over the line by whatever means necessary. We've got a particularly good record of handing either debutising or out of form United players with goals. And so with every out of form striker that they brought onto the pitch, boy, Rasmus Højlund or Joshua Zirkzee or even Anthony, I was like, oh my God, like I've seen this movie, the Makeda movie, so many times. And so, I think you can spin it. It's as I say, a win and a draw in a very tough week. 2 clean sheets as well, which is maybe the most important thing, mate.
I think that is the biggest takeaway, really. It's obviously the first clean sheet in the Premier League as well. And you're right. The narrative around this game, it was very interesting. And, with Sir Alex Ferguson, Sir Jim Ratcliffe in the stands, paying for hospitality. So Chris Heck will be loving that. It did feel like it was very doom and gloom, sorry. And that, ultimately, what we've done here, mate, is we've played a very tough game of football, which we'll get into all that as well. And what we did was for the greater good, right? we took this draw to keep Eric Ten Hag in the job for just another couple. We've given him a few more games. We've bought him another month, right? And this is great because the thing is, there's another opportunity for 3 points against Manchester United later on in the season. That's still there. That is still there. And it's a sight to behold when you look at the Premier League table and you have to go all the way down to 14th spot to see Manchester United. So really, I actually think we've done, not only ourselves, but the rest of the league, a really good service here by sort of playing out this really sort of grounded out draw. The narrative around Ten Hag, we've given him a lifeline, mate, and the rest of the league can only thank us for that.
Yeah, mate, it's very true. It's very true. Like working up here in Manchester, I've got like City fans that will openly say that they're almost glad that they lost the FA Cup final last season because that win is what has kept Eric Ten Hag in a job and currently has, their greatest rivals 14th in the league table. And so, yeah, but, equally, to kind of spin that on his head, mate, and I do feel that this is perhaps the biggest narrative to come out of this is that we're falling apart. Like, this squad is dropping like flies. And I kind of, I've been kind of vocal on this podcast saying that, we need to get as many points on the door as early as because, all of a sudden, when we get into the new year, we'll still be playing group stage Champions League football in January. And we've got all of the hectic kind of Christmas schedule and more Carabao Cup football and FA Cup third round and everything alongside the relentless Premier League schedule to kind of fit in around that. And I think we've had, 10 injuries from like 8 games this season, or 8 games. Like, it's a crazy kind of ratio. And then, to see Esri go down today, Morgan was clearly not fit. Neither was Leon. Diego goes down kind of right towards the end. It's like, wow, we are really never really do I think that international breaks ever come at a good time, but I think this is as close as you're going to see because, I think we can expect to see Onana, Ramsey, Kamara and Mings are kind of playing games again. But this squad, in terms of injuries, this is happening a lot earlier than I thought it would. And I'm hoping that it's kind of just a blip. But to be sat here 1 week into October and our injury list is starting to rack up as it is that is, but concerning is, I, as you say, I don't want to put any kind of doom and gloom on this situation, but that's a kind of injury list that if you show me it in February, March, I'd probably expect, but October, considering all the guys that aren't on that list and are clearly not quite 100% fit, is pretty eye-opening, mate.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's the first time this season that we've not substituted either of the central midfielders. So that was a full 90 minutes again for Yuri Tillemans, which he just seems to be. He must be running on fumes at this point. He's been absolutely brilliant, but ever present. And then obviously that's the first full 90 minutes for Ross Barkley in the Premier League as well. And it did feel like in those later stages of the game that we needed to change something. And this was, of course, with how scrappy and just how the second ball just weren't popping up for anyone. This was a game that was screaming out for John McGinn, and I can only imagine he was sort of sat in the stands, really, really feeling frustrated at the state of play, because you need someone like John McGinn to really take the game to United. I think it's fair to say, mate, that this was an incredibly forgettable 90 minutes of football. United only managed 4 shots on target. We only managed 1. The fact that it's 2024 and we're seeing a centre-back pairing of Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire for Manchester United is actually remarkable when you think about it. And that was Leicester's centre-back pairing 7 years ago? That's absolutely crazy. But I think, there were moments in this game where, if you get that roll of the dice, if you get that rub of the green, things could obviously look incredibly different. And I think it is fair to say, despite the 4 efforts that United had on target, one of which being an amazing shot from Marcus Rashford just outside, Emmy, sort of tipped it over the bar. It was a really good save. I think, one of the other ones that'll be included in that is the Fernandes free kick that rattles off the crossbar as well. United didn't really create a lot. And I think ultimately 0-0 is, on reflection, an incredibly fair result, considering the effort that both sides seemingly put in or lack thereof at times, and certainly the level of quality, mate, because it just wasn't there from either side, was it?
Yeah, neither team deserved to win. Let's have it right. Like, our final ball, anytime either side really got into the kind of final third, they just fell apart. And, I actually, to give United and Ten Hag some credit, I thought there were at least kind of 3 or 4 occasions where they managed to play through our press really tidily. They really did a good job of stretching the pitch. There was a lot of occasions where the ball would get swung out to the left-hand side, and all of a sudden Marcus Rashford is basically up against the touchline. Matty Cash is almost halfway across the pitch, and Rashford has got at least kind of 20, 30 yards to kind of break into and start driving in field before he can be squared up by Cash. United did play some good football at times until they got into the final third. And when it comes to that kind of key decision-making or high-pressure moments, they do just have no idea. And it is quite crazy to see, really. And I do think that is where it is a damning indictment on the coaching. And, not to make this a United podcast, but they really didn't give us too much to worry about. It wasn't a game, really, to be honest with you, where it felt like either team was that likely to score. I think particularly as the time kind of ticked on and as we got into 80 minutes plus, like the panic in that United team, they were just going long, passes were going everywhere, even when they did get out on that break. Who was it, mate? It must have been about 90th minute. Was it Garnacho with Rashford in the middle? It was Cash, last man back, and he put it out for a corner. Like, it was a 2-on-1. They had the entire Villa half to orchestrate it, and they couldn't find a way past the kind of sole defender. It's pretty crazy, actually.
And Cash was going the other way as well. He didn't even want to go and close Rashford down initially.
It's nuts. It's nuts. The only kind of real moment of excitement from a Villa point of view was probably when John Duran came on. I've never seen. So I'm kind of sat in the Trinity Road. I'm right by the dugout, and I've never seen a stand react to a man unzipping his coat like the Trinity Road did when John Duran. So he warms up through like a few times, and then the third time he goes out to warm up, he jogs back towards the bench, and as soon as his arms go up to start unzipping his jacket, the place just goes berserk. And John, it took him a while to get a touch of the ball, and I think not Rodgers' finest day, and I don't think that is a midfield pairing that we'll see loads of. It never quite really functioned for Villa, and even the usual difference makers that come off the bench. Ian Maatson came on, and there was a moment, I think, where he latched onto a ball and tried to dribble, and it kind of bounced off both of his shins and went straight out for a United goal kick. Like, there's it did feel like a kind of big old collective hangover today. I still thought there were some positives. Thought Philogene is he's played really well the last couple of days, but in a role that I did not expect him to at all.
Yeah.
He's this kind of industrious flank, up and down winger, like the kind of trickster that we saw in the Championship, where he was kind of bending Rabonas into the far post and was making defenders look foolish week in, week out. Has been kind of replaced by this combative, industrial, up and down winger that is dropping in the defensive line. I'm not sure where it's come from, but he's almost rewarded with a goal at the end, which is probably the chance of the game, to be honest with you. But yeah, just there's not really too much to take. It's a great clean sheet again. Pau Torres was, if we're looking from a Villa point of view, my man of the match.
Okay,
I'm gonna say.
Okay,
I really like the way they passed the ball again. I wouldn't really know where to look outside of that, to be honest with you. So it kind of might be by default. Emmy makes some great saves, but I think probably Pau. But yeah, I mean, we do need this international break, I feel.
Yeah, I think Diego is worth giving a shout out as well, because I think, again, he's been called upon when we maybe didn't expect, and he may not have expected, although I think some of the reporting from like Jacob Tanswell and John Townley was suggesting that in the warm-up, Ezri felt something go. So maybe, obviously it would have been last minute, but Diego seemed ready as soon as Ezri was on the floor. I think, yeah, it's worth giving him a mention. He dealt really well with a one-on-one with Højlund as well, I thought. Got really good use of his body, good shoulder check, literally just outside of the box as well. So made sure he did it in a safe zone, obviously went out for a goal kick. So, shout out to Diego. And yeah, it's just, I think the way I'm looking at it, mate, is it's a clean sheet. We've played another one of the big teams in a game, which ideally you want to take 3, but as long if you can take a point off them, then that is obviously going to be very good. It's another game out of the way. International break is here. Emmy has been suspended for slapping the camera in the last break, and never have I been more delighted in his shithousery, because these guys need time off. You would assume Ezri will pull out of the England squad now. Matty Cash isn't in contention with Poland because I think they have some issues with him not speaking the language, which is, seems crazy to me when you decide to call up a lad from Slough to be a right back. I don't really think you have much of a leg to stand on, but I don't mean to start any beef with the Polish FA at all. Amadu obviously wasn't in the squad today, mate. The Belgian manager did say the other day that he's due for an MRI, and the results will determine whether he is in the squad or whether he'll be replaced by a youngster. I think it's safe to assume he won't be travelling. Obviously, Leon is in a situation with Jamaica where he's not playing. Did Dean get called up? Because he was in the last squad, I think.
I haven't seen anything new. I think Pau Torres got a call up, didn't he?
Pau did get a call up. He did. So I think we're currently looking at Pau, Tillemans, Oli, Duran, Nedeljkovic as well.
You know, it's frustrating that Morgan's got to play unders football. Like, why do they keep calling him up to... What purpose? You look at his performance today, what purpose is going and playing unders football for 2 weeks going to do for this guy? Like, please.
Literally regularly playing in the Premier League and being one of our best players. But no, it's okay. You play with the development guys. It makes no sense. If I'm being honest, I'm glad that Morgan's not in the first team, but you may as well not be there, because playing in the unders doesn't get you in the squad. Playing well in the league is what gets you in the England squad. Or there's the nepotism picks, obviously, but generally I'm happy that we don't have as many people going away. These guys should all be on a beach somewhere for the next sort of 4 to 5 days. They've definitely earned a break, in my humble opinion, mate. And hopefully they can come back after the international break, because, mate, we've got some really interesting fixtures, haven't we, coming up? So it's Fulham away, first game back. Bologna at home in the Champions League the following midweek. Then it's Bournemouth at home, Palace in the Cup, Tottenham, then Bruges, then Liverpool, then Palace again, then Juventus, then Chelsea. We're in December now. I've got a bit carried away reading those out, but they are coming thick and fast. And mate, the fact we're in October now, it feels like blink and we were only just ending the season, doesn't it?
It's crazy, mate. It's crazy. And this is the thing. I know this is proper two lads on a podcast chat, but it doesn't get any easier. When you're in the Champions League, the fixtures are so hard. I'm like, wow, that was a tough run of fixtures that you read out. And then I look beyond that, and it's like, oh wow, okay, that is Chelsea, Brentford, Southampton, Leipzig, Forest, City, Newcastle. I'm like, oh my god. Then you come back in the new year and it's like Arsenal, Monaco, West Ham, Celtic, Wolves. It's just a gauntlet, and that's what I'm saying, is that visibly we were creaking out there today. And so, yeah, the physio department are going to be working overdrive to get these lads through to May. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy, mate. It's crazy. But yeah, I think, we have to kind of manage these situations. It would be interesting to see whether Morgan goes to us. Like, I would kind of, we saw that he was kind of limping around at points today. There's definitely kind of something at play. And so, yeah, it's a tough old game to come back to. Fulham, they're having a very, very good season. So it'd be interesting to see kind of when we come to that. And then, yeah, 3 days later, quick turnaround. And it's Bologna at home. But so it's easy to moan about this, mate. We literally signed up for it. So we've got to go with it.
We sound like Pep Guardiola, don't we, complaining about fixtures? They should be taking this in our stride, but I think it just goes to show, doesn't it, the importance of the squad. And it's only like 5 games ago we're looking at the bench and thinking, yeah, we're good for this. But now, like, how many kids are on the bench? Or even people like Nedeljkovic who can't seem to play their way in just yet. But yeah, obviously, in theory, all good problems to have. But I hope these guys come back in just over a week's time, well rested, suntans topped up. Vitamin D is needed, especially for the Southern American boys. I think they could definitely do with some sun. And yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Who was your man of the match? We would love to know, and I'm sure we will appear in the international break because there'll be something to talk about. So you won't go too long without the Villa Fillet in your life. Don't you worry. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and up the Villa.